Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Best Damn Sports Show in Franklin County for Wednesday, September 15th, 2020. I'm the Nighthawk, along with our studio engineer, Alan Richie Cunningham, and on my immediate right, my old pal of 40-plus years, Mr. Duke Forrest.
Yeah.
And on my immediate left, my newest pal of about 4.5 minutes, Evan Morselli. And this young man, I bumped into his father over the weekend, and he mentioned that his kid loves sports. And I said, well, I have an empty seat on the panel here, so we'd love to have him. So he's making his debut tonight on Franklin County's #1 sports show. So welcome to the airwaves here, Evan.
Yeah, welcome. Great
Thanks
to have you.
Thanks for having me.
So as I
see Mr. Handy, for all the folks wondering where our old friend Mr. Handy is, we expect him next week.
Yeah, Dave will be back next week. So how old are you, Evan?
I am 18.
18. So
Wow.
70, 62. I wish I had my so our median average here has gone down quite a bit.
Believe it or not, I've got a kid. I've got a kid, not a grandkid, a kid who's 16. Evan, believe it or not.
Yeah. So, all right. So let's
What did
get
you say the date was, Honk?
the 15th.
I think you're a day off, my boy.
Yeah,
I believe
thanks.
today's the 16th.
Oh, it is the 16th. Okay. Well,
You're close.
a day is a day is a day. So we're
Close.
definitely at the midpoint of my favorite month of the year. And aside from getting some rain tomorrow morning, I looked at the 10-day weather forecast for whatever that is worth. No rain forecasted right through the 30th. Just a brilliant month. And tonight, you may correct me if I'm wrong, I think tonight's sunset is at 7 o'clock
You got
exactly.
it. Our last 7, exactly right. Our last 7 o'clock
Yeah.
sunset.
Yeah, so hopefully I'll get out tomorrow, late afternoon, do
Yeah, I'd
9 holes
like
of
to think I'd join you.
golf with you. So, okay, we might as well start with our #1 topic, and just an excellent basketball game last night between our Boston Celtics.
It's probably not the first word I'd use as a Celtics fan. I thought this is a pretty horrific loss
Well,
by the Celtics.
It wasn't a
Good
horrific loss
game until
in the
last
Miami Heat.
half period.
So, right now, before I talk about the greatness of Marcus Smart and Jason Tatum, it's time for some finger pointing. And Jaylen Brown has been invisible in this playoffs.
He's
And
been
even worse,
Yeah.
Kemba Walker.
What about Kemba Walker? Kemba's the main suspect here.
And of course, he's played 8 seasons with the Charlotte Hornets and has only had 3 victories during that tenure. And of course, there's no pressure down in Charlotte. I mean, most people couldn't even tell you where Charlotte is. So now playing in the fishbowl, being the Boston Celtics, and he is admitting, I need to play better. I have not been playing well. So the game last night, at some point, I thought we had this game in hand.
Well, a 14-point lead
Right.
in the fourth
That-
period, understandably, you might think.
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, watching the game, I was just like, we have this in the bag. And, last 5 minutes, we just
I
couldn't
never
play
think that
defense.
about anything.
We just couldn't play defense the last 5 minutes. And then as the Heat go up, the Celtics just don't get any points.
Yeah.
And,
And Jason Tatum playing some generally very good ball, but I still think clearly trying to force it too much. I mean, were you impressed with the last possession? They had 12 seconds. He purposely holds the ball. Obviously, he's taking the shot, and he gets nothing better than a long three-pointer. Were you impressed with the last possession in regulation? And
Oh.
he threw it up to win. I wasn't impressed at all.
Oh, yes.
You were impressed with that?
He was about 6 feet beyond the three-point arc.
Obviously, he's the guy taking the shot.
Yep.
He wasn't thinking about anybody, and maybe that's what
Right.
he was told. But
Right.
Were you impressed with
Right.
that? I sure
No,
wasn't.
I will concur with you on that. But of course, the play of the game is when Tatum had the ball and made a little juke on Jimmy Butler, and I'm going to myself, oh my God! He's going in for a slam dunk, and out of nowhere, Bam Bam shows up and blocks it. And Magic Johnson said that was the greatest defensive play ever.
I was going to say, I wouldn't say it's the play of the game. I think it's the play of the season.
Even over Havlicek stole the ball, my man Johnny.
Yeah, but
Is that
defensive
right?
play.
That's what
He
he said.
just
It
came
was a
out of
great play.
nowhere, and just an unbelievable
I
defensive
heard
play.
there was some talk today. Wasn't that goaltending? Nobody was talking I mean, it was a clean block. The reference was, hey, if you're on the way down over the rim, it's got to be goaltending, but that didn't come up. I guess that's not the case. Nobody
They met
last
exactly
night.
in the middle. So I mean,
Oh, it's a great play.
it's kind of hard. To,
Yeah, I
like-
think he pasted it
Yeah.
right on
For the record, we're back to Billy Buckner here. For the record, had he made what looked like it was
Right.
going to be a fairly easy shot, even tie game,
Yep.
no guarantee.
Oh, absolutely.
Celtics win the game, for the record.
Yeah. Now-
but that was a great, incredible defensive play.
The stat I saw after the game that scared me was the team that wins the first game in the conference
About
final,
the same. I was going to mention that.
82%
Yeah.
will go on to victory. Now,
Yeah, pretty scary.
I'm going to look at my monitor here, Evan, okay? And I am going to look directly into the camera, and I am giving you a Nighthawk guarantee that the Boston Celtics will, in fact, win the series and will go on to play the LA Fakers.
And you certainly don't. I think you're wrong. Again, you know how I'm a glass half empty guy. After Game 3 against Toronto, when they blew Game 3, I thought they were gone there. So I'm feeling very bad after last night. Miami just looked like a tougher team to me. Jimmy Butler, who I haven't paid much attention to, just looked like one tough guy. And Miami just looks like it's a team with the old better chemistry now.
Yeah.
Although last night was obviously
Yeah.
a toss-up game that the Celtics should have won.
Now, Evan, what impresses me about the Miami Heat, they really don't have any stars on that team. This is a total team effort. Butler,
Impressive
he's
team.
a star. I wouldn't say he's
Oh,
not
I'd say
a star.
Jimmy Butler's a pretty big
He's a
guy.
star.
he's not as good
And
as
he
he
also-
used to be,
That's fair enough.
but
He's a tough.
he's a
tough
good
guy.
team player.
Tough,
I mean,
tough
ask
guy.
the Philadelphia 76ers
Oh, yeah.
that had him last year
Yeah.
if they missed Jimmy Butler.
You know, another person that I'm keeping my eye on is Tyler Hero. Like
Oh.
he's gonna rise and he's gonna play, and he might be like one of the next greats. You know, I could see him getting up there with the support he needs from the teams he's on, depending on if he stays on Miami for, you know, how long ever.
Yeah.
But you know, he's gonna rise and be a great player. And, you know,
I had my eye on him during the draft
Me too,
this
yeah.
past summer.
Really?
surprised
yeah.
he went very low though.
Yeah.
Like
And he played good defense. I mean, that was his knock coming out. Where did he play his college ball? I don't remember.
I can't.
yeah.
I can't.
Yeah, but the kid played some good defense
Yeah.
last
I don't
night.
even know this team, but I'm impressed. It looks like a very together team. Again, they are, I mean, upset winners in the last series.
Yeah.
Watch out for these guys.
They're a known name team. You know, aside from Jimmy Butler, you know,
With a great coach, as we talked about, Eric Spoelstra, outstanding coach.
yeah. So
I wouldn't say I'm worried for the Celtics, though. I mean, we played a great game. It was a tight game all the way into the fourth. I mean, we were up going into the fourth. We just blew it. I think we just weren't, you know, a team in the fourth quarter, and you know that's what lost us the
And even
game.
going back to Toronto, in fairness,
Yeah,
you know, that was a tough Game 7. I love it. When your team wins, everything's fine and stuff, but the losing team doesn't get, you know, too many words. But, I mean, I guess lucky might be a slight exaggeration, but Toronto could have so easily have won Game 7.
As much as
In
I'm a
fact, the late foul when Tatum went up for a shot right at the end of the game and came crashing down.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I saw a foul there, but
So as much
I
as
think
I'm a
Toronto might have
Celtics
been
fan-
a little unlucky even.
if Pascal Siakam like played to his top standards, I feel like Toronto would have won in 6 or 7. You know?
I like your style. You're a finger pointer too,
Yeah.
because he's a very good player.
Because he
And,
was the number 2 when Kawhi was playing in Toronto, and now this year he was the number 1 that everyone pointed to, and you know
Yeah.
he couldn't produce.
And what impresses me about Toronto, of course, I see them during the regular season. They're a lot like Miami in the sense they're very team orientated,
Yeah. Yeah.
and you don't see many teams like that.
Hawk, if you're right about the Celtics, obviously I hope you are. Do you give the Celtics any real chance against the Fakers, as Johnny Most would call the
I do.
Lakers?
I know
Really?
we had a big gap within with the COVID and the bubble, but if you look at it at the beginning of the season, they played their starters up in Boston. This is up in Boston. I forgot when, but we killed them like horrendously. And
In Boston?
LeBron couldn't do anything. I mean, now you look at playoff LeBron. You know, you get different from regular season, but
Yeah, LeBron
I feel
played
like
some pretty good ball.
I feel like, you know, Jason Tatum has gone against LeBron when we were in the Eastern Conference Final against Cleveland, and we lost to him. So if we go against them in the finals, we have that, that like leadership from Jason Tatum, from the whole Celtics squad minus Kemba, because
I have the same feeling, Evan, because in order for us to beat the Fakers is we've got to get Jaylen Brown back in the fold.
Yeah.
And we got to get Kemba especially back in the fold.
I think Kemba's the key guy here.
Yeah.
If Kemba doesn't come back, I think this is...
Yeah, and it wasn't like 1 or 2 games with Kemba. He hasn't looked good in 3 weeks.
I think what lost him, when we lost him, was Game 3 against Toronto. So the series against the 76ers, he played really great. First game against the Raptors, he played all right, and then the second game, he played okay. But Game 3, he couldn't hit his shots until like the end of the game. So, if we get him back, we get Jaylen back, and if we make it to the finals, like, I think the Lakers and the Celtics will have a good series.
I think.
What do you think?
I think our starting 5 is better than any starting 5 in the NBA. That again with Brown and Kemba playing up to they don't have to be at their top, but they have to be much better than they are right now. Like Marcus Smart, and we'll get into Tatum, but Marcus Smart
and clutch.
What a one of the top all-around players.
One thing that irritated me
basketball.
last night of him, though, but he would drive up to the top of the key, dribble it, and then he'd just shoot it. I'm like, make a play, pass it around. I know you can come clutch, I know you can shoot, but make a play. Don't shoot. Don't be that player. Be a team player to produce your team points.
Do you find, though, Evan, that with the advent of the three-point line, that you're really not seeing a lot of play, passing and stuff? I would have a hard time playing in the NBA by hustling up the court. There's one pass to Duke,
that's a lot of
and
work.
Duke's shooting, no matter what.
Yeah.
And he'll fake and pop up a 3. You see a lot of bad three-point attempts. I like to see more ball movement, and I like to see more ball in the paint than what I'm seeing.
I feel like when we were playing against 76ers, we could just shoot it because we were fine with that. And then with going in against Toronto, that's all we did. And, we didn't have good games just by shooting threes. Game 5, we were 20% for threes. Game 7, we weren't so good with threes, but we came clutch.
Three-point shooting, I just be careful what you wish for.
Yeah.
I think if you had to do it again, I'm not sure. I mean, Duke drives me crazy when they just get in there three-point shooting. Great if they're hitting, obviously.
Yep.
If they're cold, I'm just not sure 3 points was a good idea at all.
You live by the sword, you die by the sword.
Yeah.
But I think, correct me if I'm wrong, did they bring the three-point line in just because the big man dominated too much in the game?
Sorry, you're talking pros now?
Pros.
Did they? I don't know.
I think
they brought it in. Didn't they extend it a little more? College extended it a little more, I think. I don't remember the pros bringing it in. Did the pros brought it in at some point?
The three-point line.
Yeah.
Well, are you saying college brought the three-point line in?
No, college was always closer, and I'm thinking college.
No, I'm saying not in. I'm
always
saying
he's establishing
the three-point line.
Confusing.
Right.
So what? I'm sorry. What were you,
my point being, the big man was dominating too much, and there was too much underneath the basket kind of play. And I was all in favor of the three-point line by showing that part of skill set of shooting. But to me, the Golden State Warriors, when they were in their heyday, I thought that was the most boring team to watch because
that makes me think of. I was in Fenway Park watching Bob Gibson pitch the World Series game in '68. But again, when pitchers
67.
Sorry, I was there. I think I had the right year. Anyway, but when pitchers were so dominant, they lowered the mound.
Yeah.
It's kind of basketball, same thing.
Yeah.
Hey, we want more offense. We want more fun out of this game. Let's do a three-point shooting line.
Yeah.
That's the same thing with rules nowadays. Every sport has new set of rules every season, and it's just at the point, it's to a point it gets where it's too much, and I feel like it's ruining the game on how it used to be. Because a lot of people are fighting to take some rules away, especially with baseball. I get why they added like the non-4 intentional pitches.
Right, and
but-
we'll get into that. I have that on my agenda. But the bottom line with the Celtics, Jason Tatum's not going to play any better than he's playing right now. Marcus Smart is not going to be playing any better. Daniel Tice isn't going to be playing any better. It's really up to Kemba and Jalen right now to, no pun intended, to carry the ball here.
Speaking of which, what about backup center Mr. Cantor? Not 1 second. Is he not?
He
is worth
played
nothing?
maybe 3 minutes of garbage
Yeah.
time with Toronto.
Yeah.
So what's the? Is he's not worth anything?
Well, he's a good offensive player, and he's got cement sneakers on defense.
I feel like what Brad Stevens is doing is he doesn't want to bring in his subs in important moments. Like last night, it was a head-on-head game.
Wanamaker looked pretty good last
Yeah.
night, did he not?
Yeah.
Well, when Kemba's not producing, who are you going to bring in? You know.
I wasn't going to
Cantor,
say
you have
it.
No problems with Cantor being on the bench all game?
Yeah, Robert Williams can play defense.
Yeah.
He's a fly swatter. Boy, I just had a thought.
feel-
Okay,
I feel-
here's my dumb thought. Okay, you can throw me out into the streets.
Yeah.
Is as bad as Kemba's playing, I'm almost at the point of starting Brad Wanamaker in there and keep Kemba for the second unit. I know that's
But you're not, because you're always voicing concern about the second unit and
well.
lack of scoring.
They don't have a good second unit now.
Well, what about Mr. Hayward,
That-
who you're not high on? Don't you think? Wouldn't you like to see him come back at this point?
Yeah. So if he gets past his injury, he's 100% going to improve the team because
Nighthawk's not
Oh,
hugely high
well,
on Mr. Hayward.
he-
Or just for what he gets paid.
Right, he gets paid 32 million a year.
Yeah.
He's worth about half that. Now, we didn't really need him first two series, and I did not anticipate Walker and Brown to play this poorly. Now, Hayward is listed for the next game. He won't be playing, but he is practicing, and he's hard practicing right now.
But
So-
definitely not playing tomorrow night.
not playing tomorrow night, but I expect him. I do. Oh, maybe this weekend.
I was talking to a buddy of mine, and one thought that we had just traveling in the air was, you see how Chris Paul played. Now, if Kemba doesn't produce, if we get like eliminated from the playoffs, and Kemba didn't produce, I mean, Chris Paul has one more year in OKC before he's a free agent. Do we risk that trade? Because you saw how he carried the Thunder to the playoffs this year. They had a 0.2% chance.
Player.
Do we go out and trade for him and bring him to Boston so he can?
For 1 year.
Yeah. You know,
I mean, it could be 1 year and then you sign him to a contract for how many?
Boy, they're throwing out a lot of money these days for their guys. I'm not sure they got that kind of money.
yeah. Unfortunately, the Celtics can't bring in a big player.
Yeah.
What is Walker's contract? What does he have remaining?
Well, I think he's got a bunch of
years
When
left.
when he signed with us, it was 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, that sounds right. 4 or 5.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Hayward's going to be around for a couple more years.
I thought he was. I think he signed to a 3-year like 2 years ago. So I think this year was his last year.
So next year.
After next year? After next season? Okay. So, and I don't expect to get him.
Well, if the Celtics had a bad night, what about the Clippers? What about Doc Rivers? Doc Rivers' reputation postseason wasn't exactly. This was a pathetic. I saw a couple minutes of that game.
Well, I mean, give props to
up
Denver,
3-1 against the Nuggets, and again, a team that looks like it's a great team, hardly a team you know. And boy, that's the second time they've come back from 3-1 deficits.
Evan,
But what about the Clippers?
this Jamal Murray,
Yeah.
best player that nobody's ever heard of.
I feel like when he's able to hit free agency, he's gonna get like a max contract.
Yeah.
I mean, he's coming up in clutch moments. He put up more numbers on his own name than Kawhi and PG put up last night. And to be honest, that's a little sad.
Where did Murray play his college ball? Is he UCLA? I don't.
I don't know,
Don't
but
remember.
like I know, I think it was from like I wouldn't say a big college. I think he was like a little college like John Morant, and then he went to Denver. And
Now, Duke mentioned Doc Rivers. Doc Rivers made history last night. He's the first coach in NBA history to lose 3 times being up 3-1.
in post-game series.
Right, I believe, or with the Magic,
Playoff series.
with the Celts, then with the Clips last night. That is a huge stain on the old resume. And I'm curious, if Doc's going to be around next year for the Clippers.
No, I guess there might be some, although he's so well regarded. I mean, people love the guy, but yeah, he took a hit. And what about Kawhi? Kawhi had especially I didn't see hardly any of the game. Didn't he have a pathetic game or second half in particular?
Yeah, you see, Kawhi wasn't Toronto Kawhi last night, obviously. I mean, when he was with Toronto, I mean, he carried them to the
Played
finals.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then he's on the Clippers. You'd expect the same thing, especially with Paul George.
Yeah.
You know, Paul George, he hit the top of the
Again,
backboard
chemistry.
last night.
Sometimes I heard Colin Cowherd today talking. Some people dismiss chemistry. I don't dismiss
Duke,
it.
you stole the words out of my mouth.
Colin Cowherd today was all over. Hey, this team did not have any chemistry.
I'm a scientist. I'm all into chemistry. And I love that Toronto Raptor team last year because that was team basketball, and nobody cared who scored the bucket.
They had the money to re-sign Kawhi, and even if they wanted to, go out and pursue Giannis. And if that happened, that team, you have Van Vliet. If he stuck around, you got Kyle Lowry, Giannis,
Those guys,
and
those
Kawhi.
two guys are very good players.
I think Van Fleet's a free agent this
He
summer.
is this year,
or
yeah.
this fall, I
And
should
Pascal
say.
Siakam as well.
Yeah.
They're going to
Kyle
get.
Lowry is a
Okay,
great
go ahead
player.
there, young man. Pronounce the Greek freak for us.
Giannis Antetokounmpo.
Wow.
This guy.
Well, what a show off.
What a ringer. I'm sorry we may not see Evan A. When you or I aren't available this summer,
Oh.
I think we know who we should try to grab for the show
Evan,
here.
I have been
Evan,
struggling.
Great effort here. I'm impressed.
Struggling to. I can't say the guy's
didn't
name.
go there.
I was in that same area, and when you hear it more on TV, it gets in your mind. And,
Okay,
you know,
one more time for me.
Giannis Antetokounmpo.
Wow,
Right.
Giannis
Impressive.
Antetokounmpo.
We'll work on that in the
Yeah.
parking lot after the show. But so he is a free agent.
I don't know if it's this year, but it might be next
Yeah.
year.
At least one
Can
more year.
can he do
think
the
he's got one more
super
year.
free agent, like where you can get more money if you stay with your own ball club?
I don't know about that.
I know he had a 3-hour dinner with the owner of the
He also
Bucks.
unfollowed all of his teammates on Instagram.
Okay,
No,
and
it's all right.
see, I'm not a tech guy, but I did see that. So what did the freak do?
He unfollowed all of his teammates on social media. I can't say Instagram, but
I'm
on
sorry,
social
he
media,
what?
he unfollowed every one of his teammates on social media, and you know.
Basically, dissed them.
Yep, and I mean he had a meeting with his owner, and who knows how that went, but
But it went 3 hours long, and
yeah.
the owner was paying. I'd make sure I'd get dessert.
I think that meeting was mainly what the future looked like for both Giannis and the Bucks. Because
Was he upset because they didn't re-sign Malcolm Brogdon?
Out of the University of Virginia, very good ball
yeah.
player.
He correct me if I'm wrong, was he ACC Player of the Year one year?
Could be. If he wasn't, he was right.
if it wasn't the year, it might have been like a month. Like he might have been player of the
A
month.
very good
Yeah.
Virginia Cowboy.
Yeah.
I can't remember who he signed with last summer. Yeah. So,
Too many names to.
but,
Throw around.
we've been talking about Toronto and Miami, the great team play. Well, Milwaukee's just the opposite. They're so overly dependent on the freak.
Yeah, I mean he's putting up maybe like 35 to 45 points per game, and I mean you can't always just rely on
Right.
him to
Yeah.
perform. I mean even if he does, he performs
Yeah.
to the A standard, and
Yeah.
you need shooters around, and
Yeah, and getting back to Duke bringing up Gordon Hayward, and I said on these airwaves a few weeks ago, I said, Duke, don't worry about Hayward being out. I said, Tatum can pick up the points. Brown can pick up his points. Walker can pick up his points. Don't worry about it. Well, again, we had no idea that Brown and Walker would start their vacation early.
I think Brad Stevens is going to take something out of his back pocket, and I think we're going to take on the game 2 tomorrow night. I have that strong feeling. Like last night, I had a feeling we were going to win, and that feeling went on until the last 5 minutes when we kind of blew every opportunity we had.
That was painful.
Yeah,
No.
and then tomorrow night I feel like Kemba's going to pull out. I believe Jalen will pull out because, I mean, he'll have his good games and he'll have his bad.
They better win tomorrow night.
And I'm a lot like you. I'm one of those guys that watch the game, and I count my chickens before they're hatched, because when they're up 14 points, bring on the Lakers.
Of course, I'm of course absolutely not.
But last night also showed us what we're capable of. We didn't get blown out like Milwaukee did. Like Milwaukee game 1, they got blown out. Milwaukee game 2 and 3, they blew bigger point leads than what we did. I mean, it was pretty sad that what we did last night. But game 4, Milwaukee came out, and then game 5, it was in the books.
Yeah. So the Celtics tomorrow night on ESPN. 7 o'clock, and their game 3 will be Saturday night at 8:30, again on ESPN. Tomorrow night, game 1 between the Nuggets and the LA Lakers, and that's 9 o'clock on TNT.
I was hearing I think on some of the Celtics folks saying there was some question about Monday night, whether they wanted to go up against Monday Night Football, which isn't exactly as legendary as it once. Did you hear that?
I did not hear that, but I did tell you NBA ratings are way down this year due to that social injustice crap and all that stuff that they shove down your throat.
Yeah.
So
you sure, Evan, I'm sure you want to talk politics. You may be on board with
I'm not
this
really
guy,
big on politics.
I'll give you some hardcore politics stuff.
Yeah, no, right. I don't talk politics during the show.
Yeah.
Okay, I believe we have our call. Good evening. Take that bat off your shoulder. Get the mud out of your cleats, because you're the first guy up tonight on the best damn sports show in Franklin County. Go ahead.
Yeah, how we doing, guys?
We're doing well.
Good.
Good. Glad to see you got a young gentleman on the panel.
Yeah.
Yeah, about a quarter of our age or so, something like that.
And a knowledgeable one at that.
Yep.
Pretty sharp.
Absolutely.
Yeah, he's on a trial contract tonight, so
I called to talk a little football there. I probably watched more football Sunday than I have in the last 2 years.
Really?
Saw some very good games. I did not know what to expect with no preseason games.
Yeah.
And, being a Ram fan, I did watch every minute and every second of the Ram and Dallas game. And, I thought both teams played at mid-season form. Penalties were minimal. They were crisp with their passing, with their running, good tackling. And, I thought for the most part, probably 75% of the teams looked like they were, well practiced before the opening game. There was a couple teams, I thought Tampa Bay, they looked like their timing was terrible. They looked like they perhaps could have used one exhibition game. Tom Brady didn't look at his best, but, the receivers, the timing of the whole team did not look good. But as I say, for the most part, it looked pretty good. One thing that I saw during the games that drove me crazy was like if the Saints were up 21-14 in the third quarter. Well, the Saints now have a 76% chance of winning. Then they'd go on if they kick another field goal. The chance now, the Saints have an 83% chance of winning. Like, come on, this is football. Throw that away, Let's just watch the game.
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah, I could get, the football I saw, I guess I kind of gave everybody a mulligan for the first week. Now, some teams played extremely well, so that's kind of like their exhibition under the belt.
I heard what Bruce Arians got on Brady's case. I didn't see. Is that right?
I thought your Giants looked really well up until that interception.
God, key. I didn't see any key turnover.
The Giants will not have a better drive all season than the one they had a 19-play 8 minutes, 50-second drive.
Where were they when the interception happened?
3-yard line.
That's
Jones.
Is that right?
You can't have that, though.
Jones
under
scrambled
pressure?
left. It was under duress. And I love Daniel Jones, but he made a mental error. He went to throw the ball, and the guy
somebody hit
got
him?
his arm, and the ball just floundered to a defensive lineman.
See, when
belly.
you're under pressure like that, that's
Yeah,
when
he-
you throw it away.
That hurts.
Now, caller,
But you know the trouble he did not have a running game going for him. Barkley could not run. I think Pittsburgh's whole defensive scheme was we stop Barkley, we win the game.
Caller?
And that's exactly what happened.
Let me piggyback.
Giving your quarterback some credit, he did not have a two-headed monster to work with.
Duke, listen to these stats. Barkley carried the ball 15 times
Yeah.
for a grand total of 6 yards.
You're kidding.
So that's an average of 1 foot a carry.
Is that right?
He got stopped behind the line of scrimmage 8 times.
Wow.
I mean, if Pittsburgh's not the best defense in football, they're definitely the top 3. The pass blocking by the Giants, or the block, just the blocking in general, by Pro Football Focus, graded their blocking 32nd, and there was a huge disparity between the 31st team and the Giants. This was the worst blocking I have ever seen in my life.
So hard to get on Daniel Jones' case too much. So.
Andrew Thomas, our number 1 pick, 4th overall from Georgia, played pretty well at left tackle. Nick Gates, our new center, stunk. Cam Fleming, who they picked up from the Cowboys as a free agent, former Patriot as well, stunk. Okay, there were flies all around him. They stunk so bad. It was horrific.
So what was that one play?
Wasn't your center a guard before?
He was back up the last 2 years, kind of a utility guy. But me thinks there has to be some changes. We're playing the Bears Sunday. We're 5.5-point underdogs, but that line has to improve. Now, Barkley is regarded through the NFL as the second best back, only to Christian McCaffrey from the Panthers. But I will say this about Barkley. Young man, you better learn how to pass block. He sucks at pass
What was
block.
that one play where he? I thought he ran like a couple yards, but he also like hurdled the.
He did have one play where he jumped
What
over.
about any pass rush? Did Jones throw to him at all?
Oh, he got 6 receptions for 60 yards.
Really?
I'm not cropping on Barkley, but he's got to pass block. He's got to help Jones out. Darius Slayton got 100-plus yards, 2 touchdown passes.
Really?
I mean, I saw some good things on defense, but you will never win a football game when your top running back gets 6 yards.
I heard Dan Patrick was asked, I think the guy went on one of his shows, just said, what do you think about these?
You know, one good thing, too, your division is not that tough of a division, and right now the Washington football team is, I believe, ahead of that whole division, correct?
Really?
Yeah. No, listen, I have no delusions of grandeur that the Giants will even be close to the playoffs. So I'm not going out back and putting a gun in my mouth, but I expect a better performance. And I told Duke last week to be on the generous side. 7 wins would be a good season. Most procrastinators, the word I'm looking.
Prognosticator?
Thank you. Is 6 wins, and that's more than likely what they'll end
Dan
up.
Patrick's line, when he was asked about just a bunch of seemingly good quarterbacks in the NFL, he didn't have Daniel Jones at the top, but he said, I've got good feelings about him, but without an offensive line, don't expect much. Pretty obvious.
Well, I'll say this. Jesus Christ could play quarterback.
I thought he looked good, Duke. He's got some pinpoint passing. He's got a good arm, and he's very accurate. Like any quarterback, you need time to throw, but I was impressed with him late last year, and he put together a couple good drives. Then it seemed like the wheel fell off the wagon or something all at once, I think the defensive coach for the Steelers saw something, and they exploited it because it was just like a button was turned on, and they shut the Giants' offense down completely. But Daniel Jones, he's a smart guy, and I'm impressed what I saw. I didn't think he would be as good as he is. When he has time to throw, I mean, that ball is right in your hands, so I think he'll be a good quarterback. And you've got a good young receivers there, but again, you've got to give the quarterback time to throw. That's the difference.
For sure. Did he run it all?
Oh, Jones was
Yeah.
the leading ball carrier.
Is that right?
Oh, absolutely.
How many times?
For his life.
Yeah, he ran for his life. I think he got 28 yards, couple first downs.
Just on scrambling runs, not planned runs.
Right,
seemingly.
scrambling runs. I don't have the vocabulary to describe how pathetic that
Wow.
Giants line is.
Really?
And
So we're worse than last year, even.
at this point, with a one game being my sample, yes.
Really? Wow.
I just have no comments on the Giants.
You know, and the hard thing with a bad line, a lot of these passes are timing patterns. You know, he's got to hang tough in that pocket for 3 or 4 seconds for his receiver to be in a certain place. You know, a lot of times people say, well, you got to get rid of it or run out of the pocket. Well, these timing patterns, you've got to be in your pocket, you know, to throw to the receiver at a certain spot. So, you know, it was kind of tough for him, but you know, if they had one great drive, they can do it again.
Yeah.
You know, so you guys are in a fairly weak division, so you should have, you know, quite a few ball games, and playing 500 is not out of the question. One team I thought was in top form as always, this New Orleans Saints. Drew Brees, I mean, he's just a gunslinger.
Yeah.
It looked like, you know, they've been playing all season. They're a well-oiled machine for sure. And, you know, good money. It's an easy bet right now. But, you know, New Orleans against either Kansas City or Baltimore. Baltimore is going to push Kansas City hard this year, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
So back to what your question was, my favorite team.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there was
I'm
a
a New
lot of
England
good
fan.
football. So, you know, more to come.
We haven't even talked about my Patriots. Decent effort by the pass. Poor Cam Newton. I'm not sure you want Cam running the ball 15 times a game now.
Yeah.
I just don't think he lasts a whole season.
So the question I had this
Yeah, I thought
offseason
that was a good game and a good team matchup for him for game one of the season.
Yeah.
You know, kind of get in there, get your feet wet a little bit. You know, you would have hated your first game against the best defense in the NFL, but I think it was a confidence builder for the whole Patriot team. Like, geez, you know, we played a good defense. We can score points. We look pretty darn good. So it was a good, you know, like I say, confidence builder for the team. Cam looked pretty good. I mean, he looked good on his feet, and you know, the passing will come. So, you know, I think you guys will be in good shape.
Right. They played one of the worst teams in football, so the true barometer will be playing in the Northwest in Seattle.
As in Sunday night.
And that is only a 3.5 point spread.
Yeah.
Boy, right.
Which,
Is that right?
because Seattle is known for the 12th man, AKA their fans. So that
sounds like
I'm
a lot.
looking extremely forward to that ball
Assuming
game.
the air quality doesn't come into
Yeah.
play, sounds like a slight concern.
Yeah, one question that everyone had in the offseason was,
Yeah.
I mean, I think Belichick can win without Brady, but can Brady win without Belichick? And, you know,
That's a big question.
you know, seeing what he played against New Orleans, like, that's a high team. That's a big, great team. And, you know,
it's a tough game.
Tampa going into this season was supposed to be a great team, a high top team. And the way they played, Brady with 2 interceptions, you know, last year I think he only had 2 interceptions all season.
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
But in defense of the Bucks, they were playing, if not the best team in the NFC, you know, top 2 or 3.
They're obviously, I assume, field goal underdogs in that game?
Yeah.
They're obviously underdogs, slightly anyway.
Caller, did you have a question for Duke pertaining to a water sport?
Yeah, Duke, I was wondering, did you want me to bring the kayaks up, or did you want me to leave them down there for 2-3 more weeks and get some kayaking in? It's no problem for me either way.
Jeez, Bobby, you're so kind. I wish I could do. You guys treat me so well. Oh, boy, that's a good. Actually, I got out with the kid last week for about an hour, but boy, it's getting, and the lake is so low, so painfully low. You can just about walk out to, which I did the other day, getting my feet a little wet. I guess I would say, hey, you're so good to me about the kayaks. I would say do what's good for you. If it's easier for you to get them up anytime, whatever's better for you, Bobby. I'm happy to say that.
Well, you know, I can wait a couple more weeks. That certainly isn't a problem, Duke.
Yeah, I guess if it's easy to wait, maybe maybe a couple more weeks. But again, if you have a day when, you've got time to do it and want to do it or good enough to do it, I kind of leave it at you, whatever works for you. I might go out another time or two, but I realize it's kind of.
Well, how
pushing the
about this?
season.
I'll go down there and pick them up the first Saturday of October.
No, that's great. That's more than kind. Thank you very much. You're so good. Thank you, guys.
Caller?
That's perfect, but if you don't want to
Okay,
wait that
guys,
long,
I'll let you go, and great show as usual, and good job, Evan.
Thank you.
Hey, thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Great to get phone calls here. I enjoy the Duke and my new bestest buddy here.
Really?
But I always enjoy getting phone calls. And just an update, New England's 4-point. I guess it just depends.
Boy, that sounds very
But-
low to me. That's just.
I thought it was going to be a 7-point spread, to
I
be
would've
honest
made it-
with
I
you.
would've made it 7 easily.
I would definitely take New England here. So, okay. So, Patriots, anything more, Duke, on that? Or
I guess not. I just don't think for 15 running plays.
so are you a
but-
Patriot
Yeah,
guy?
so I'm a New England fan all around except for hockey,
All right.
obviously.
I mean, Evan.
Yeah. So we, as the Patriots, need wide receivers. We need weapons, and Edelman can't be our only weapon. And you see Neil Harry fumbles it at the 3,
Well,
loses
I
pin.
just listened. I didn't see any of the game.
Yeah.
But I listened to some of it. The game's over if he gets into the end zone.
I see what Belichick was trying to do with that draft
Although it
pick.
didn't sound like he had a terrible game aside from that horrible play.
He's got to work on his feet, and he's also got to work on handling the ball.
Yeah.
And I see why Belichick drafted him. You want to
big
get
guy.
Yeah. I would have preferred a DK Metcalf. I thought we were going to get him in the draft.
Yep.
And I was kind of sad that when we didn't, but we need weapons. And now Cleveland is looking to trade OBJ.
Okay.
Now, before I get to that, a little part of me doesn't believe we're going to get it because just how the NFL
And the
works.
thinking, of course, being, hey, if anybody can straighten this guy out, it's Belichick.
Yeah, but San Francisco, us, and Baltimore were the 3 teams that were trying to get him.
Trying to get OBJ?
Yeah. Now, San Francisco just signed Mohamed Sanu, former Patriot. So I
Is
think
that
they're
right?
out of the go.
Well, that didn't work out.
So,
second round draft
I
pick.
don't think
That hurt.
that the Ravens are going to go for OBJ because they want Lamar for how many years?
Well,
they're going to want to keep him. They got to get
have
money.
Marcus Brown on that team.
Marquise Brown, yeah.
Marquise Brown is really good. Now, this rumor came from
Hawk,
Mike.
are you hip to this rumor?
Mike, I love that hip. Now that's '60s talk right there. I'm in a groovy state of mind right now. So
we talked about that song on the golf course, 59th Street Bridge song.
feeling
aka
groovy.
Feeling groovy.
Mike
design.
Francesca came up with this rumor, or maybe a potential fact, yesterday, and I watched on the internet last night. And again, if it's on the internet, it has to be true.
Absolutely.
And they were talking about landing spots, and you were right on with these 3 teams.
Really?
But the guy said that made the most sense, and I 100% behind OBJ going to the NE Patriots.
Yeah.
Really? So this sound-
Duke, you're right. I can only echo your sentiments. If anybody can straighten OBJ out, it's Bill Belichick, because Belichick is going to sit there in his office with his 1-foot Subway sandwich. You see the commercials? Okay.
Has he done Subway?
Yeah, he's
yeah.
and he is just as quiet on the
Yeah.
commercials. But he's going to say, OBJ, I'm the greatest coach in the history of football. I have the resume here to prove it. I don't have enough rings or fingers for my rings. We need you, but you're going to follow and you're going to understand the Patriot way. And he's picked up some malcontents in the past. The one I remember the most, the guy I didn't care for, but he was a great player, was Randy Moss. And he was great with the Patriots.
He wasn't in his prime at the time,
Dillon,
but
he's had, not everybody, but he's had
Right.
some fairly
So,
notable successes.
Cleveland has got some chemistry issues
Yeah.
between Jarvis Landry and OBJ and Baker Mayfield. I think it would behoove the Patriots. And again, Cam Newton is in the prime of his life. He's not
yeah.
a kid.
What, 30, 31?
All right, so
he's going to have comeback season this year.
they're
I'm calling
in
it.
a
And
win.
having not played much for a couple
Right.
seasons.
Exactly.
They're in a win now mode.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so don't hang on to your drive. If you have a chance to get Beckham,
So what would
Take
it
it.
take? What would it take to
So
get Beckham?
Okay, what, on the count of three, Evan,
Yeah.
what draft pick would it take to give to Cleveland to get Beckham?
Now-
On the count of three.
Before I say it, because I already have one, you also got to look at what Cleveland will be in a few years if we end up trading him, because
Isn't it still doesn't it seem like an up and coming team
Yeah.
generally, or not?
But my thing is, if Baker isn't going to produce this year and maybe next year, it's time to start new again. Like,
Yeah.
you can't keep going the same season expecting the same expectations and just not getting it.
Evan, you got a couple that where they have a brand new head coach after they had a 1 year brand new head coach last year.
God,
So
how
this
many
team is
coaches have they
in
gone
complete
through?
disarray. All right, count of three. What do you give
What
up
does
to
it
get
take to get
Beckham?
Beckham?
1, 2, 3. A second
I have
round
a
pick.
second or a third, because he has not performed like a first rounder, like
Last 3
back and
years,
forth
absolutely.
trade.
Is he reasonably healthy? Or have got any injury issues with him?
Not he gets nicked up.
like
Now,
it's like
keep
a-
in mind too, Evan, with the second round pick for the Patriots. Okay, you're not talking a bum team where it's going to be like a 34th,
Yeah.
35th. Fifth. We expect New England, if Newton performs well, that could be
Probably
a
talking 40s somewhere.
No, 55 to 60.
This year,
So-
I think we have 14 picks in this draft, and we
Yeah.
have it from other teams
Yeah.
as well. So
So-
we don't have to give them a New England pick. We can give them a team pick from another team.
So that would be interesting.
So this really
to
sounds
do.
like it's got some legs.
I don't know if
to
it has legs, Duke. I looked on the internet today to see, and I didn't really find much.
No, I'm gonna give it to like week 3. If the Browns are like 0-3, 1-2, and
Yeah.
OBJ just doesn't have the stats that shows that
Yeah.
he's a great player, I think they're gonna look into a trade for him to be on a new team for week 4.
And
to be
of
honest.
course, OBJ wants the ball, every other time
Yeah.
But
here.
the Pats clearly need receiving.
Right.
they have no weapons other
Did I
than
mention one
Edelman.
Belichick story? This is great. I'm sorry, go
One
ahead.
quick.
Yeah.
So the aforementioned Brownies play in about 25 hours from now.
didn't even think-
They're playing the Bengals tomorrow night, and the Browns are 6-point.
I mean, you got Joe Burrow.
And I don't know if this means anything, but they're playing at home.
Right.
Joe Burrow, he impressed me Sunday.
In his first game.
He could have done more, but what he did the last seconds of the game,
Yeah,
bringing his team all the way, I think, to like the 35, and their field goal are just whiffing it. Like, it shows that he is capable of being a good quarterback and not choking in big moments, but at the same time, he could have had a better game. And he's just not that one college kid that was big in college.
First game. But boy,
Yeah.
his last year in college was pretty impressive.
And they also played the Chargers as well, which is they're a good team.
Not a bad
Yeah.
team. Just the Belichick and folks like Dan Patrick. Everybody was playing this tape. It was great. And I happened to hear it again on radio after the Pats game. I don't know who the reporter was, but kind of a long question. Coach, you've been around. You've seen a lot of football. You've been around a long time. What was it like to play a real game without any scrimmages and stuff? Or what was
saw
the
that.
key? And Belichick, a little pause. One word answer: practice.
Yep.
Folks like Dan Patrick were just loving
Yeah,
this.
yeah.
Hey, reporter, you're talking to Belichick here. Just make it a quick question. Don't go crazy with the question because you know what you're going to get
Yeah.
in response. But
Yeah.
practice.
But Evan, I will say this. You've echoed my feelings for the Patriots. I said that to Duke last week. They lack receiver weapons.
Yeah, they could
this
use some
N'Keal
receiving
Harry,
help.
at this point, I am considering him a bust.
Yeah.
I think I'll give him a little more time.
I'm not going to give him a bust. I,
mean,
think
he
he
missed
could have.
like half of last year. Hawk
He-
with you. He only got it in half a year.
Right.
He was definitely not worth the first pick, the 32nd pick in the
seems
first
fair to
round.
say right now.
He could have easily gone the third to fifth round.
Yeah, that-
And like I said, I felt like we should have. I had, and my 32nd pick was DK Metcalf. I did,
Wow.
and when I saw him go to Seattle, I'm like, well, Seattle just got one of the best weapons, and he's a great receiver for them.
Evan, are you a draft idiot like me, where you study and study? Because Duke says I'm crazy. The amount of hours I put into leading up to the draft. Do you study a lot?
I wouldn't say it. I look at more like what they did in college, and then what certain teams need, and then what team fits them. And what we needed the most at the time of that draft was wide receivers.
But I hear you, but every coach says, best player available. That's what we're
Right,
picking.
that's what
Best player available.
there.
And I'm not that kind of guy. If you
mean,
need a
was-
wide receiver,
Was Daniel Jones the best?
A receiver I'd love to have.
Yeah, but
Maybe, I'm sorry, go ahead. Evan.
was Daniel Jones the best quarterback option that y'all could have picked for the draft? No, you had Dwayne Haskins, you had all these quarterbacks below.
I'm
But
about ready to grab you. No, Dwayne Haskins stinks. Okay, he's a stink bomb. Didn't play well with the Redskins.
I think he showed a little life at the
He
end.
did, yes.
Do not
And
mention
also-
Dwayne Haskins and Daniel Jones in the same
Okay,
sentence.
but don't throw in the towel. Don't tell me Dwayne.
Okay, no.
Give Dwayne a little.
Yeah.
time.
Daniel
You're
Jones.
You're a little harsh on these.
I don't like Haskins. Okay, Daniel Jones. People were outraged that, what was he, the 6th pick overall?
Can I mention it?
Fourth,
Evan,
I
Evan,
think.
I'm a Dookie. If you hate me for that, you have
Yeah.
plenty of company out there. But I'm driving up. I take a southern trip, except for this year.
Yeah.
South Carolina, and I'm a Dookie. So as it happens, I leave Ocean City, Maryland, take the Cape May ferry and the draft is that day. So I'm listening to probably the Fan, whatever. So
Yeah.
for hours, 10 hours of driving, once Jones gets picked, I'm hearing everybody crucifying this guy. I felt like I was beaten up all day when I limped into St. Albans. So the beating that he took is unbelievable.
I'm not saying he's a bad quarterback. I'm saying he was not worth the 6th pick.
Okay.
The first
You have plenty of
round.
company saying that.
Okay, here's the real deal. Okay, the first quarterback pick this year was Joe Burrow, first pick overall. Now, the Bengals had the 11th pick in the last year's draft,
Yeah.
okay? The Giants knew the Bengals were hot for Daniel Jones. Everybody said, what the hell are you doing picking Daniel Jones at the 6th position? Because you got the 17th slot. You can get Daniel Jones at the 17th position. No, he would not have lasted. Not only the Bengals were hot for him, there was another team before the 17th position. I won't say Daniel Jones will be better than sliced bread, but I will say he'll be better than any quarterback picked in the first round last year. Now, granted, it's going to take about 10 to 12 years before we can settle this argument.
Yeah.
Right, it'll take a while.
But they did extensive research on Jones, and ditto for me. I'm not saying I'm a pro scout, but I did my research, and I said, well, if we're going for that quarterback in the 6th slot, when they took Jones, and I didn't have a problem with it.
I don't think you're changing Evan's mind here. Huh?
Well, like I said, I
let's-
know that they were hot on him. The Bengals were hot on him, but I just feel like you could have gotten a better quarterback.
Well, I'm trying to
Of
remember.
course, the big thinking was
Because
the
he didn't
Giants
play. He didn't
should have gotten what a
Didn't
defensive player.
Didn't
That
he
was-
play like the season after he got drafted? But like this is when Manning was retiring, so he played the last few games.
No, last year started. Manning went 0-2.
They gave him 2 games. Nice of
And
them.
he opened up game 3, which I was down there in Tampa to see him play his first game.
Hawks there.
And he played, I don't know, 12 games consecutively. He got a small injury. He was out for 2 games. So Eli was able to come in, and his second game Eli played and he got a victory. Good for him. Now, let me tell you this, and I've had this conversation with the Duke. Duke, read your paper. Evan, Ohio State
Yeah.
is a factory. Evan, you're 18 years old.
Yes.
And I think even you would be a pretty good quarterback playing for Ohio State because they're a machine.
Yeah.
Now, my argument with Daniel Jones is, as great as Duke basketball is, their football program at best
Although
is,
Hawk beats me up about it almost every
right,
show.
is
One and
mediocre.
dones.
Yeah.
Okay, Daniel Jones had to fight for his life. There was not one player on Duke that was drafted, and that in itself is probably the best argument I have. Duke is not a good football team. Okay, mediocre, average, but it's not Ohio State. So,
You're right about that.
yeah. So I thought, and I watched a couple Duke games just simply to watch. I thought that was a good pick, and Haskins wanted to play for the Giants because he was from the Jersey area, and he was pumped. But no, that was a good pick. And again, I'll run my mouth, but I will never sit here and give any guarantees on young quarterbacks because, like Jared Goff, for example, got Super Bowl 2 years ago. Last year, did not play very well. So he's in the position right now as, Jared, you got to prove it to me again. So
I mean, you're totally right on that. But
what?
you know,
Wait, somebody just said I'm totally right.
Yeah, I can't say totally right, but I'll give you credit of what you just said.
Yeah.
But you know, there's a difference between a basketball school and a football school, and Duke is the basketball school, and Ohio State mainly is the football school. I mean, they have a good basketball team, but you know, but they're a football school. And I mean, the two quarterbacks coming out of Ohio State this year can both get drafted.
The quarterback is Justin Fields.
Yeah, and then I think their backup can it'd probably go like the fourth round.
Yeah, probably worth noting, we are going to see some football out of the Big Ten, having the just reverse their decision, I think, about a month, October 24th, if that's a Saturday's first day, 8 or 9 games.
I love this kid bringing up the NFL draft here in the middle of September. Right,
Yeah.
Trevor Lawrence is the best quarterback come out in some time. Okay,
Yes.
6'6", he's a winner. He'll be the first overall pick. But
Yes.
Justin Fields should be a top 4 pick.
Whoever has the better season between Clemson and Ohio will determine the first round pick, and I can strongly say that.
Are you telling me that
I feel
Justin
like-
Fields has a chance?
I feel like he can be number one. Yep.
Really?
Okay, and I can
Lucky for him, he'll be
I can
playing
use the same breath
football.
my analysis of Ohio State being a football factory. Well, same thing for Clemson.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, their basketball team is good. I mean, they always make it to March Madness, and you know they're always
Yeah, I mean,
they don't
sometimes.
go to the top. They're always in like
Of course,
the
they thought they
mid
had
bracket.
one. They thought they had South Carolinian native, I believe, Zion Williamson. I think they thought
Yep.
they were pretty good for Zion until
Yeah.
he ended up going up the road a bit.
Yep. But whoever plays better within Clemson or Ohio State will have that number one QB, because it's like what you said. It's everyone wants the best one. So
so you guys explained to me, and that was one of my questions. How and why did the Big Ten reverse their prior decision of we're not playing football this year?
Well, probably because they got a bunch of grief from the president on down, and probably from a ton of their fans. And again, they're obviously monitoring ACC, SEC, and Big 12 started up, and apparently not too many problems, unless I've missed something. But I'm sure they're under a lot of pressure.
Do you think big money contributors
I guess
would
you're
call
throwing in
Michigan
the
and
best
say,
answer.
you know that $250,000 I give you guys every year? If I don't see a football team out here in 4 weeks,
money, yeah.
you're not going to see another nickel out of me. And like Duke said, even the president called.
I also feel like the
I
NFL
think
has to
this
do.
actually might have hurt. I think if you're talking politics for a second, I think no football. Again, these are some of the key, obviously, battleground states.
Yep.
I think Biden should be probably happy that the Big Ten started to play football. I think that might have actually helped Trump a little bit.
I also think the NFL has to do a little bit of the decision, meaning like, if the NFL is going to try to do it, why not? Why not try, and see how it goes? I mean, I know there's a bunch of kids coming from everywhere going to these big colleges, and, some are online, some are actually on campus, and, that has some slight risk, but, I think that if the NFL could try to do it, and I mean, it seems like it can work. I feel like Big Ten was like, okay, why not?
Yeah.
I think Duke's got about half the kids are on campus, and I get their emails every day, which I usually read. I think they've done very well testing and being pretty careful.
Mm-hmm.
I think I said out of like 7,000 kids on campus, they've had like 7 positive cases. I think they've got a pretty good handle on it.
The Duke Notre Dame game.
Not a bad effort by the Duke.
What was the score in that game?
27-13, I think.
Okay.
Duke was marginally.
Did you ever check what the spread was on that game?
I think about 20 points or so.
The Devils beat the spread.
Yeah, they beat the spread.
Good.
It was a reasonably
Yeah.
competitive game.
Yep.
And the Dukies, BC at Duke this week.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And of course,
I actually saw some of the Clemson at Wake game. I saw some of that game. Clemson winning that game easily.
The Thursday night game with the Chiefs, there were 16,000 people in the stadium.
22% of capacity,
And
I think they did.
Of course, watching the Giant Steeler game, there were 0 people on the field. And Duke went over that a couple weeks ago. Some teams are allowing folks in, and other teams aren't allowing anybody in.
I think
So,
Notre Dame, I think they might have allowed like 500 people in or something.
I had to be college kids, I think, as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I don't know the rhyme and reason how, the 32 teams in the NFL, individual policies of allowing people in.
Yeah.
And I don't know what Duke, what the timeline is. Like, come October 15th. We're going to allow more people
I think
in.
I read some of the teams were doing no fans, like first couple games. Some fans know this calendar year. Kansas City 22%. It
Yeah.
was kind of different. I suspect after the first of the year. Well, of course, the season's pretty much over by then.
Yeah. So, all right. So, baseball, good decision. And I've got to give kudos to all the major sports. I think
Yeah.
they've done a
Sounds
really
like
good
they've done
job
a pretty good job.
with this. But I really like, granted, his Red Sox, my Nats won't be in the playoffs. But correct me if I'm wrong here, Evan. First round, I think, is best of three, and all three games will be played
Best of three.
to the higher seed.
So there's four. So they just released the bracket. There's four stadiums where these teams will be playing. So you got the Dodger Stadium,
Yeah.
you got Arlington, Texas, then you got Houston, and then I think you got Anaheim.
San Diego?
San Diego.
San Diego.
Yeah, San Diego
Yeah.
was it.
Yeah.
And then the next round would be Arlington, Texas, LA, and then the World Series is going to be in Texas.
Yeah.
So they're limiting like travel.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think that's a good idea.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I haven't seen the new ballpark yet
People
at
say it looks like a
Arlington.
barn, and seeing pictures of the outside, I mean, it looks like a barn.
It looks like a
All
barn.
right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hockey or Nats know if they won every remaining game, they're effectively out.
Smart guy here. That's pretty much
That's what they'd
it
have to
would
do,
take.
so they're
they,
out.
they won today. And
Yeah,
of course-
Red Sox were even showing a little
Yeah.
life irrelevant to
I,
postseason,
Did you see?
obviously. Boy, they're young. They
the
finally
young
had a
guy?
young
Yeah.
pitcher who looked pretty good last
The
night. huh?
5 innings, 7 Ks,
Tanner-
2 walks.
Tanner Houck?
Yep.
He was
Sounds
a
like a-
first round
sounds like a
pick
good kid, too.
in 2017.
God, wouldn't that be amazing?
3
First guy
years
since
later.
John Lester,
Yeah.
maybe, if he turns out good.
But unfortunately for the Red Sox, they've won 6 out of the last 10 games.
Because, of course, you're saying Red Sox lose every game
Right.
they can.
So
Yeah.
if the draft was tonight, they've got the 3rd pick overall. And as I've been explaining to Duke, with the Red Sox being such a great franchise for the last 15 years or so, 20 years, they're always picking 28th, 29th, 30, you know what I mean?
know what?
And now they're going to get even though Pittsburgh's doing their darndest to get this, and they're on a 7-game losing streak right
Yeah.
now, 14-33, winning percentage of .298.
Wow.
Texas is 2.5 out. The Sox and D-backs are 3 out, and my beloved Nationals are 5th.
I'm sorry, you said the Sox are just three.
The third.
for the first pick overall.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was back to play.
No.
Yeah.
I mean,
Is that right for the first pick?
Everyone's rushing for this guy from Vanderbilt, though.
I was
So
going to say,
who-
you got a handle. Is there an obvious first pick?
Oh yeah, he's from Vanderbilt. I forgot his name,
Really?
but he
It
can.
must be a
he can
pitcher?
What position?
pitcher.
Pitcher.
He can top 98 on a fastball
Wow.
and by minimum. Like he can
Interesting.
hit 101, 98 through there.
Yeah.
He has a nice curve and a nice changeup.
You know who else is a Vandy graduate?
David Price.
Very good.
Yeah. But the Red Sox they're going to get a
Great
a blue
college,
chipper.
too.
Oh yeah.
Again, the Red Sox
Regardless.
have never been in this
Well,
position.
That's it. All
Long
starts
time.
with Chaim Bloom. It depends if he's going to draft a pitch or if he's going to draft a stinker. Because really, in regards, like we have a phenomenal offensive like lineup. Our pitching is.
And again,
it's
we were
always been our
talking. You're
pitching.
talking Red Sox
Yeah,
here.
Red Sox. Our pitching has always been down below. Even in our 2016 to 2018 seasons when we consistently made
Again,
the playoffs.
John Lester, the last good starting pitcher who came up in the organization. Please don't tell me Mr. Buchholz.
yeah.
I mean, Buchholz he was an okay pitcher.
He had his moments, but what a frustrating pitcher.
With 2013 in the playoffs against the Cardinals or the World Series, he had a great, I think, Game 4
Yeah.
in St. Louis. He couldn't touch him, and I mean, he has also had his bad.
Just frustrating.
Yeah.
But yeah, he
But
wasn't.
Evan, I'm not a Red Sox guy. I'm not an American League guy, but I'm more optimistic for the Red Sox next year, and I've been saying it almost
Boy,
week
more
in, week
optimistic
out.
than me, of course.
Chris Hale comes back.
But probably not at the start of the season.
Okay.
I'd say midseason, yeah.
Is it that
Yeah,
far?
yeah,
Yeah.
you're not.
He's had
don't-
Tommy John surgery.
Why?
Don't,
Right,
don't,
but-
don't hang their hopes on Chris Sale.
Tommy John will go anywhere from 12 months to 18 months.
Yes.
So he's at the latter end of the scale, I take.
Well, I
He's-
guess we'll
he's-
see. But given his track
He
record
has like a
and
couple
stuff,
more months before he's
they're
able
not going to.
pitch
The last thing
again.
they're going to do is rush him back.
Yeah.
But are you presuming, like I am, that the Sox will spend some major money for a top-notch starter?
So if it's hard to
But
say.
And I don't have my-
what they're trying to do though is not
Yes.
is not spend a ton of money.
But we also have JD Martinez who can opt out of his contract this offseason.
and he's
not-
at a horrible,
Right, he
horrible
won't
year.
opt out.
You wouldn't.
Let's
you
say
wouldn't think so.
you can go either way with it, I guess. But let's say he does, we get, I think, a guaranteed like.
Say he opts out
Like a
and he
lot of
doesn't
money
get
back.
nobody calls him.
Exactly.
Isn't that possible?
Right, that's
Yeah.
why he won't opt out.
If he opts out, I mean, the Red Sox are under no obligation.
Well, with the
if
new-
he opts out, hey JD,
With
thanks,
the new
see ya.
Yeah.
with the new DH rule of all teams having
That's,
the DH,
and presumably in National
You know.
League too. Yeah, that's true. That helps.
a team that needs a hitter could, hey,
That
join
helps
us,
them.
hit some balls. with
Evan,
us.
educate me here. I get the DH
Mm-hmm.
this year during the pandemic season. Who negotiated or who agreed with the National League? Are they going forward with the first pitch is thrown April 1st in the National League?
Pitchers, believe me, pitchers are never batting again.
What-
You know, the only pitcher.
So, but I never saw anywhere where the negotiations occurred and they came to an agreement that the National League is a permanent item.
Take my word for it. You're not going
And
to
I
see
agree
pitchers
with
batting
you, but
again.
where the heck did this come from?
Yeah.
Well, the union might have. Maybe there's a backroom deal.
But the
or something.
CBA isn't up.
Now, this was a rule that could have happened a long time ago, like 2014, because, you know, it's a weird area, but going back to like intentional hit by pitches, if your team gets hit by a pitch, who are you mainly targeting in the National League?
Pitcher.
Their pitcher.
Sure.
What are they going to eliminate? Hit by pitches. You don't want to also injure your pitcher on the base path. You don't want to risk anything. I mean, the only pitcher that I see who can hit the ball is Shohei Ohtani from the Angels. If he was drafted to a National League
Max
team.
Scherzer is a pretty good hitter.
And you got Mad Bum as well.
Yeah.
That's some Bumgarner.
But let me tell you this. You've got a couple elderly folks this side of the table.
Hawk, that's more than kind of you to throw yourself in with me.
Well, I'm just trying to make, okay. I understood it this year, and I mentioned last week, the color commentator for the Nats is FP Santangelo, Italian,
Yeah.
and former Major League ball player. He's gone on record during the game. I do not like this. They played a series, 4-game series. Neither team had a pinch hitter the whole series, okay? It eliminates strategy. I can go pick up a third-grade kid to manage a team that has a DH because
Yeah, I tend to agree.
there is no strategy.
Yeah.
And what I enjoyed was I am pitching, okay, against you, and you're up 2-1, and our guy leads off, gets a double, and I'm up. I'm pulled, even though I might have given up 2 hits, 7th, I'm pulled because that's part of the strategy. The double switches, all
Yeah.
that good stuff.
You do have a good
Now,
point.
the argument during the World Series last year, the pitchers, okay, if you recall, it was a 7-game series. Every away team won the games last year. Pitching last year went 1 for 60.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is that
yeah,
right?
1 for 60.
Sounds about right.
You know, I'm not completely stoned minded here.
And again, hopefully there are a lot of sacrifice bunts, which can be useful. Hopefully there are a bunch of sacrifice bunts in there.
Yeah. So I guess my question here, and I probably should ask it 2 minutes ago, is DH for sure back next year in the National League? Or we don't know?
I think they'll
I
have
think,
another
I
voting.
think it effectively is.
Yeah, I think it might be because, like, you know, we'll still have the same condition next year. Like, no fans, you know, we'll have that same. We'll have this season, but next year, but longer in a 162 game series.
Let me tell you.
I'm sorry, you're assuming no fans next season?
I strongly believe that. I really do. I mean, I know the NFL is trying to push for it, but, like, you know, the NHL has done really good about no fans because, I mean, they're in the bubble. Same with the NBA.
Most teams.
You know, MLB hasn't done it except for people who work there.
Yeah.
And then you have the NFL who's trying to bring back. And, you know, NFL is being like the biggest sport in America.
Yeah.
That's, you know, I'm not fond to having fans back, but like, you know, you also got to try new things. You got to go back to normal, slow by slow.
See, different strokes, different folks. I told if the Giants were playing the Patriots tonight, I'd be the first guy in line to go to the game. And I don't care if there's 80,000 people there. I'm there.
I see, like, I still think, like, if fans go and you got big games like that, you know, you're kind of throwing, like, I'm not saying throwing, you're kind of putting a lot of people at risk. And I mean, one thing that we want to do is eliminate this COVID virus and go back to normal.
Yeah, that'd be nice. That'd be nice.
Well, let me ask you a question. I posed this with Duke before. What is the difference? Vermont and New Hampshire are two of the smallest states in the Union.
No, New Hampshire's a small state, but for the record, New Hampshire and Maine are about twice as big as Vermont,
Right.
with about 1.2
But the
million
counties
people.
in Texas bigger than Vermont and bigger than New Hampshire, okay? So you tell me, Evan, explain to me, I'm an idiot, why Vermont chose 7-on-7 touch football, where you cross the border in New Hampshire is still playing 11-on-11 regular tackle football.
Yeah, I don't know. One of my good friends, his name is Cam. He's a really good running back. He's a good linebacker.
For
SB, South Burlington Seawolves.
The Rebels?
That's where he played his ball.
Sorry,
but-
the former Rebel.
Yeah, but, you know, I watch YouTube videos. There's a guy who makes Friday Night Lights. He just goes around best teams in the country.
Great book, by the
You
way.
got football
Buzz
games
Bissinger.
going on
Great
in
book.
Alabama, Texas, California, and a state that is very low on the virus case. You do 7-on-7, and it's not the government; it's the VPA actually. Because I was talking with some of the team the other day, and they said the governor was fine with it. It was the VPA and the safety that said no, just do 7-on-7 tag
Right, so
football.
they're playing 7-on-7. They're playing 2 games a week, and
Yeah.
I did see BFA on Channel 3 News, and one of the kids mentioned a lot of kids didn't come out for football this year due to that fact.
So
and as I would not go out for football.
Can I just throw in, this was not a formal interview. It was in Walgreens just several days ago. Mr. Dan Marlowe was right in front of me, so I think he recognized me, but talk BFA. I think I had just seen the Channel 3 report. But I said, boy, I might have even invoked the Nighthawk saying, not impressed. And Dan said, oh, I'm so happy with this. Basically, it's better than nothing. It's great to see the kids get together and have something to do. So I guess that's what you'd expect out of the AD. But he sounded like he was very happy to at least have something going on.
But
two-hand football is not. It's not football.
It's not even 2 hands if you get tagged with one hand.
One hand. Okay, I
I'm not
apologize.
excited. I just wanted to
Right.
mention
That's
that.
a
But
game
what
of
do you-
tag.
What do you think he's going to say?
But by you saying that BFA, like a lot of people didn't show up, right? So I played summer ball for St. Albans, like a Franklin County team, and
Baseball.
yeah, we had a Babe Ruth team, and it was just
This year?
As in
Yep.
this summer.
we had a
Really?
Franklin County team going on at the Collins Pearly, and you know we'd have 2 games a week, practices on Monday, Wednesdays. Across the field was where they were a lot of BFA kids football practicing. Like I mean, like bigger than our program, I guess. Like there was a lot of kids. Now you saying that there's no kids, like I mean, this kind of like if they, I bet
I'm
you,
saying some kids chose not to play this year.
But it sounds like they still had.
Oh, they've got enough
kids.
bodies. Yeah.
but like
But now, again, BFA's got a pretty good football tradition. Your school in Burlington, they were lacking in numbers.
oh yeah,
Hence,
last year,
got together.
South Burlington and Burlington's a co-op team, which is hard to believe.
last year we were
because
struggling.
They were the
That is a
two
little
biggest
hard to believe.
populated schools.
I went in as a wide receiver. Like
So you're a South Burlington High School graduate?
Yeah, I
This is my
graduated.
kid's
I-
older brother.
2020.
2020?
Yeah.
Wow.
So when I went in first day of practice,
Wow.
I'm a wide receiver. You know, hurt my I dislocated my patella, like before the first week, and so I take my 4-week protocol break, I guess, when I'm just retraining. So by week 4, like I'm in, I play the last quarter, but I'm a tight end. Okay, I know
Hey,
how to.
the
I know
pad- the
routes.
pad- the
I know
pads.
routes. Yeah, but you know, just doing my 2.4 point stance, whatever. I wasn't used to that, so I mean, I looked clunky. And then going on, I didn't play tight end. I didn't play offense, but they had me play D end. because I'm a big kid, and that we lacked numbers in certain positions. We had a lot of wide receivers come in, so they put me at the end, and I'd average 5 to 8 tackles or sacks. I guess I got through the line pretty easily. I ripped and went, and
So you just graduated a few months ago.
Yeah,
A few months ago, right? This year.
I mean, it was my 2020 season. Yeah, so I mean, we didn't have a winning series, we didn't have a winning season, but we beat our school rival CVU, which was pretty nice. We beat Northwestern, and then we beat Rice. So nice.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So we have 15 minutes left.
Can I just throw in a word? I just said maybe
Yep.
just a minute. U.S. Open tennis was actually some pretty decent tennis. And John McEnroe, who does a very good job with his commentary, but he's a pretty forthright guy, which I don't have to
He's
tell
great.
you. But he said, I watched the men's final, and then McEnroe and I think brother Patrick, who's great, wrapped it up. But John McEnroe was quick to say, hey, when this started, when they said they were going to do this, no fans with what's going on, I thought this was insane, a terrible idea. But he said, I was wrong. And I saw a fair amount of tennis. There was some great tennis, and they pulled it off. Just weird, especially the U.S. Open in New York. Raucous fans, famous for raucousness. But there was some
that
great
Osaka
tennis.
didn't impress me, wearing her Black Lives
Oh,
Matter.
I'm sure. I was going to say, I'm sure you don't like Naomi Osaka.
and doing her political crap. I mean, okay.
Okay, for the record, she won her
Right, she
second
won,
US Open.
but she didn't win many fans over with her antics.
Obviously not you, but I'll just take her tennis she played. That was actually a good match against
and also
Victoria Vika Azarenka.
Playing for a sport where you don't see a lot of colored people, like tennis. I don't really see a lot of colored people. I mean, there are, but you don't see them a lot. You want to represent a brand.
Not a lot of black.
You want to
folks.
represent a brand, and going back to what happened.
She's
with
Japanese, right?
Japanese.
Yes.
I think a Japanese father, Haitian mother, or vice versa.
So going back to the Chiefs and the Texans, when they all stood at the middle of the field, they hooked arms. You had the fans booing.
Yes, I would have been booing.
I mean,
Absolutely,
Why
would
do you
I
say that?
booed. Here's what I do.
So Nighthawk, you expect
Absolutely.
these guys just to pay no attention to what's going on in the world.
Do it on your free time, okay?
Okay.
This is my time.
Well, they're
okay?
not going to get any.
So
they're not going to get any attention on their free time.
Take their checkbooks out and write big check instead of pretending that they really know what's happening in the world. Write a check out and
Well,
donate
probably
it.
know what's happening in the world is a lot better than we do.
So what I do, very simply, and a lot of people I know are sick and tired of all the politics and the sports. And there were Giants that took a knee during the anthem, and that's shameful. But what I do, so I don't get too upset, is I record the game like they had a 7:10 game Monday night. I didn't start watching till 9 because I DVR'd it. But I knew the antics that were going to occur. So, Evan, in the remote control, you got that 5-minute button. I pressed it twice, got me right up to the kickoff. So I did not want to know what Giants were taking knee. I did not want to see that anti-American crap going on. So,
Sorry, can I go back to U.S. Open? I just want
Yes.
to mention the men's final, which is a great match, interesting match. Dominic Thiem, an Austrian, who's been just below the top guys, and of course he got a huge break with Novak Djokovic hitting the ball and hitting the poor the lineswoman in the throat. See you, Novak, maybe next year. But it was a very good final. Dominic Thiem against Sasha Zverev, a German who means nothing to you. But interesting match. Thiem, who looked like it was kind of his term. He's lost 3 finals to the likes of Djokovic in the recent years. Down 5 sets. The men, of course, play 5 sets. You feel free to beat up the women again for just playing best of 3. Anyway, Thiem comes back, and they were both dead at the end, but Thiem won a 5-setter in just over 4 hours, but a very good finals. And I love the sportsmanship. I mean, it's so impressive in tennis. I mean, these guys are killing each other for 4 hours and stuff, but just impressive.
It's a lot of
But
work,
Johnny
back and forth.
McEnroe will tell you, And he said, hey, I thought this was insane to do this. I was wrong. It worked out very
Yeah.
well. So tennis pulled it off pretty well.
Yeah.
And the French Open, which I love, Roland Garros, the red clay courts in Paris, coming up in a week. And speaking of which, we should note, speaking of the U.S. Open, we're hours away from, and at a wicked tough course, Wingfoot, Mamaroneck, New York, not Westchester County.
Is that in Long Island?
It's not, I think, no, it's Westchester, just north
Oh,
of the
okay.
city, Westchester. But again, I'm loving this. Of course, Dustin Johnson having won a tourney a few weeks ago with 30 under par. Don't look for the winner. Everybody's saying, hey, the winner might be right around even par, and I love a tough course. If they're going to get in the rough, they're going to pay a price.
I did see an article that they made it a tad bit easier.
It was hard, maybe
but-
because they were afraid they were just making it a little too tough, maybe.
because, and I enjoy the USPGA.
I love a tough course.
They make it tough.
Yeah. US Open
and
especially
a lot
is
of
tough.
players will complain about
Hey, tough. But
impossible
U.S. Open
conditions.
traditionally is my man Graham McDowell, GMAC in 2011 at Pebble Beach. I'll never forget that. I mean, it might not have been sleeting, but he loved it. It was Northern Ireland weather, but I think he won in 2011. He did win with maybe even par or one over at Pebble Beach. I love it when an even par is.
Oh,
you might win
absolutely.
it.
Now, this tournament, the U.S. Open, is June? Is that the normal
Oh, when
month?
it usually is.
Yeah.
Yeah, and with the British Open Championship in July,
Yeah. Well,
which canceled this year. Yeah, usually
Yeah.
June.
So I will watch more U.S. Open this year, just
Yeah.
simply due to the fact that it's in the middle of September.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit more busy in June than I am September.
So I'm psyched. I can't. It just sounds like a very tough test for the golfers.
So is it an easy prediction by saying Justin Johnson?
Well, I mean,
With this,
good luck. There's so many good. Sure, he's
Yeah.
he just won the FedEx, just pocketed 15 mil.
Yeah.
But again, I think any 10 or 20, and especially with a really tough course. My man Xander Schauffele, who I think had the best score overall in the FedEx tournaments. You know, Hawk, as I say every week, there's so
Yeah.
many good golfers.
Who's got the telecast?
And NBC, and I
Okay.
trust, and I think the Golf Channel I trust will show replays at night. NBC.
Yeah, yeah.
I assume actually the first 2 days, though. I mean, tomorrow and Friday. Good question. I don't think. My guess is Golf Channel, but I just don't get the papers. I just get a Sunday paper, so I'm not sure. But NBC definitely, I noted on the weekend.
Yeah.
Maybe Golf Channel Thursday, Friday,
Yeah.
but
No,
somebody.
that should be
Yeah.
a great tournament.
Yeah.
So actually we'll spend some time.
And as you noted correctly, the official wraparound season, actually Stuart Sink, who I've seen win in Hilton Head before at RBC Heritage, the Safeway tournament in Napa, which ended Sunday, was the start officially of the wraparound 2021 season.
Yeah.
Although kind of weird with the U.S. Open and Masters coming in after the start of it.
So I'll be curious too, because the normal golf season will start, Kapalua?
I mean, what I consider, right, January, Hawaii, and then
Right. If they'll
Right,
let
the
fans
winners.
in,
don't
I guess
know.
you just go on
that's when I start
You go
paying
on a
attention.
month-to-month basis
Yeah.
when they will allow fans and how this pandemic goes. So I guess it would be foolish.
Boy, I guess
to
we're
even
talking
make a prediction.
I guess no fans this year. Of course, Masters, no fans in November.
Yeah.
Looks
Yeah.
like, but golf, kudos to golf. Golf kind of led the way back for big-time sports
Yep.
with my tourney, RBC Heritage being the second one on the schedule this year.
Yeah. So hockey, are you paying any attention? Capitals had a kind of a
You know,
lot of
we
talent
had
there,
a
and
No,
they-
great.
didn't they just sign Peter Laviolette? Didn't they just
Yeah,
sign?
that was a
good,
great coach.
Good sign. I like him.
It was. I don't even know the other one. He was the coach for Detroit and Toronto.
Mike Babcock.
Yeah, I'm so glad we
Mike
didn't get him.
Babcock.
Oh my God, it was. Whew, I'm just glad we didn't get him because I feel like he would have broke our team up.
Really?
Chemistry would have went down. But before the pandemic, I went to a Bruins game against the Caps. It was in Boston.
So you're a Caps guy and
Yeah.
Bruins, or
No. So I mean, Boston's. It's either Boston or Montreal.
Okay, so it begs the
Word.
question. You like the Celtics, you like the Red Sox, you like the
I have a
Patriots.
story about the Capitals.
So give me the story.
I have a neighbor who was giving a bunch of hand-me-downs away, one
Huh.
being a Capital sweatshirt. I didn't like hockey at the time,
How old were you then?
11, 12.
Okay.
So I got the sweatshirt. I guess I did my little research. I'm like,
probably
what
not
are
that one. You probably grown
No,
a
I
bit
got
since-
this one. Yeah, but no, I got the sweatshirt, and I've had it ever since. And I've been through the heartbreaks of against the Rangers not being be able to get past the second round with the Penguins, the Rangers, and so on. And then, I mean, when 2018 came, you know, it was a good year, and, you know, so glad Barry Trotz especially got us the cup. And then when we lost Barry Trotz, I'm like, yep, that's our downfall. But, you know, before this year ended, our season with COVID, you had, you know, the Bruins and the Capitals, and you had these big teams up there. And I went to a Bruins Capitals game, and we won 3-2 in a shootout. But when the season ended, every good team kind of fell apart because we were on a roll. I know if we ended the season, I think strongly we would have made the cup. I strongly believe that. Islanders were not even in the run. They were not going to make it. And when COVID came, they added more teams to the playoff picture. And, you know, props to the Islanders, bro. I mean, they're 3-2 down against the Lightning.
Do you think it's any coincidence that the Islanders are there because they're coached by Barry Trotz? Now, that was the biggest mistake the Capitals made.
Really?
They won the Stanley Cup.
They didn't want to pay him.
And they nickeled and dimed
Unbelievable.
Barry Trotz, and he said, fine. Well, he had a bunch of suitors waiting for him.
Really?
He took the Islanders, the hapless
And he loved-
Islander organization,
It's unbelievable.
and
Loved
he's
the
turned
Capitals
that
organization, yeah.
franchise right around.
Huck, I came across an Islanders story in the Wall Street Journal, I guess going back, actually fairly recent. But we talked about we weren't sure about the stadium. They hated playing in the Barclays Center,
Right.
not a good hockey place. Went back to the island, and I guess we thought, and I guess they did throw some money into their old.
The Nassau
But again, this
Coliseum.
is courtesy of the Wall Street Journal. The team's fortunes are turning around. I'm talking about how they're having their best playoff run since 1993. The team's fortunes turning around ahead of the projected 2021 opening of a new arena in Elmont, New York, out on the island.
Yep.
So they got a new arena to look forward to.
Yeah.
Going back to like the normal playoff picture, if they didn't add the extra teams, they were not going to make the playoffs. But, you know, props to them for beating us because I have family down in Long
Now, who beat? It was the Islanders.
Islanders
who
beat
the
us, yep.
Now, listen,
Beat
they
his
had
former
those
team.
extra
They talked to
teams.
Nighthawk about his Canadians.
Okay, they added. We were the 24th team,
Yep.
best team out of the 24 teams making it. we
beat the Penguins.
upset the Penguins. Did I feel like we were worthy of advancing?
We'll take it.
I mean,
But,
when you played the Flyers, you had a good run against them, but
Yeah.
like, you just couldn't get the job done, which, I mean, it shows what your team is capable to do. And, you know, that's the whole point about rebuilding within any sports. If you can show something.
For Canadian fans, a couple weeks ago,
what a treat
they
for you
traded
guys.
for Jake Allen from the Blues.
They did.
Yeah, so we have a legit
Serious
backup
backup
goaltender.
goalie.
He had a 2.12 goals against average.
Okay.
I think he's got the most wins in the history of St. Louis franchise.
Wow.
But the problem is you got Jordan Bennington,
Oh, yeah.
and he
pulled up.
supplanted him
Yeah.
and the Blues are trying to sign Alex Petrangelo, their team captain.
Yeah.
And it was a simple salary cap. So all the Canadians had to do, I believe, was like a fourth-round pick.
Yeah.
They just want to dump Allen. As we've discussed before, nobody wants to play at Montreal for various reasons. So we have all kinds of money to spend. We took Allen. That move in itself will make Montreal such a better team. Kerry Allen is getting up there.
Finally give the guy
Carey
some
Price,
rest
I should
once in
say.
a while.
Yeah. And they also made a move. A former St. Louis Blue played for Carolina this year, Joel Edmondson, defenseman. Now, we gave up a fifth-round pick to get him. He's a free agent here after the season, but we have exclusive rights to sit down with him right now to hammer out a contract. They've been talking, and the word I have is they're very close.
Yeah.
And he's a good 6'4", 220 pound defenseman. So.
My worry about free agency this year for the Capitals is I think we should worry about who is going to not replace, but who's going to take Ovechkin's place when he decides to hang up
Nobody.
his skates. You know, I know it's not going to say nobody, but someone has to play that left
Right.
wing.
Well,
And
I
who
mean,
is it
they're-
going to be?
How old is he?
He's like 32 right now, 33.
Yeah.
He's not
I
old, but he's
consider
getting
him
there.
top 10 all-time
I think
NHL
Is that,
player.
I
is
say
that
top
right? Top
5.
10 all time?
Yeah, and he's saying top 5.
I'm saying top 5 because
Wow.
he's broken so many
Well,
people's records.
not only that,
Really?
but the goals he scored in this era where
Wow.
not many goals are being scored,
right.
and goaltenders are 6 feet 5 inches now.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
But hockey won't start until after
December.
Christmas.
Disappointing.
NBA has stated it won't be until Christmas. My prediction is they'll show their normal 4 games at Christmas.
And they're still not talking about how long the seasons will
And
be, Hawk?
the NBA, Adam Silver, November
A Dookie.
18th.
Adam's a Dookie, of course.
November 18th, the draft, and he's still contemplating an 82-game schedule.
Really?
So I'm not
Really?
so sure how
Well,
that.
yeah, that means, I mean, honestly, if they want to get back to the same pace before the virus happened, they got to push a lot of games in
they're-
1 week.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you could have a game back to back to back to back, and next
could
week.
be.
Well,
same
do you
thing.
think they could do a schedule where, say, the Celtics are playing the Minnesota Timberwolves, but they play them 2 nights in a row? Well, I shouldn't say that because they probably only do one of them. But your own conference teams that
So
you play numerous
They
times.
do that in normal seasons. Like, they'll go out to
home-
like Golden State.
They'll do
and
home.
then-
I mean, they'll
yeah.
do
They'll
home
do a
and
home and home,
homes.
but I'm talking
They
a
don't
home. Both games, but it's
who
going to be
knows?
interesting
Like,
with
when-
hockey.
Well, that
with
sounds like a
Sports,
lot of
when
games
teams
to push
travel
in.
to subtract football.
Gee, I got to
but-
say goodnight.
We're almost out of here.
Evan,
Evan, great
thank
job.
you. Great
No problem.
debut
We'll be back.
on the big airwaves here. So for Evan Morselli, Mr. Duke Forrest, our engineer, Richie Cunningham, I am the Nighthawk. And remember, and Evan, remember this,
Yeah.
you do not have to be a great athlete
Yeah.
to be a good sport.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so till next week, everyone. Ciao for now.
Go Blue Devils. Go Celts.